All right, so after the activity that you guys actually just did right now in the listening activity before part two, I had you guys listen to a video, a music video from Honey and Easy Bizu called If Someone Loved You, and then I had you guys sit in 30 seconds of silence. And so what I wanted you guys to kind of do is kind of see how it felt to hear something and to like listen to music and then sit in silence and see what you're actually hearing and listening. And so what that activity actually did for you guys was it was allowed you to see like the two different realms of either listening and hearing. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so in the video I told you that I wanted you to move on to part two, and so I'm going to have you guys do a little bit of activities right now, and I want you to answer two different questions, okay? And the first question is going to be what was the difference between the music video and sitting in silence? And how did it make you feel to listen to the music video versus to listen into silence? Okay. And so I'm going to pose those questions right now. And in those questions, I just want you to write like your free response. Let me know how it was. Like, let me know how you felt, what you didn't feel, what you felt like you may have been listening a little bit better if it was to the music video or if it was to just like sitting in silence. Okay. So take a few minutes and go ahead and go over that really quickly. And then we're going to move on to the definitions between listening and hearing. All right. So you guys should have already been able to answer those two open-ended questions. And so what we're going to do now is that I'm going to share my screen and I am going to be going over the definitions of listening and hearing. Okay. So here we go. All right, so on this Word doc, and you guys can take notes if you'd like, but I'm going to be providing these for you anyway. So the definition of listening by your textbook, right, is listening is paying close attention to and making sense of what we hear, right? So in listening, there are times when we actually are listening to something, like if we were actually listening to the music and really like trying to make sense of what that music video was about and like what we're actually listening to, or if we were sitting in silence and we were actually paying more attention to things that were happening around us rather than sitting there and listening to the music video, right? So in the music video, we might have just been like, you know, oh, cool, it's music. But in silence, we are actually more attentive to the things that are around us because of whatever reason that might be. But that's what listening is that we're actually paying attention and making sense of what's actually from what's being said or what's going on around us in our environment. And hearing is defined as the vibrations of sound waves on the eardrum. Sorry guys, I'm trying to like type definitions at the same time. On eardrums and the firing of electrochemical impulses in the brain. So essentially what hearing would be versus listening, right? So listening, we could say we're making sense of what we're actually hearing, right? We're making sense, like it's making sense to us. But with hearing, this is essentially saying like the vibrations of sound waves on the eardrums, right? So right here, this is just saying like we hear things. That's it. Like we're not making sense of it. We're just hearing it, and it's creating electrochemical impulses to our brain. So essentially, what that means is that we are just. It is just registering that that is noise, and that's about it, right? So the two different things, like if you guys would be able to give me some examples of that, would be an example of listening. What's an example of listening? And what is an example of hearing? What are those examples? Okay, and I'm going to post some questions for you guys, but I want you to really think about that. Like, what are these examples? Like, can you give me an example of when you actually felt like someone was listening to you, right? And we're going to go into a more deep concept about that later in the next couple of videos. But I want you to really kind of like think about this and like actually like mull it over in your brain and say like, okay, this is when I'm actually listening, and this is when I'm just like hearing things, right? Okay, so I'm going to pose those questions right now, and I want you guys to take a minute and just reflect on that and then have some open-endedness on this, and then we're going to continue on to listening and defining what are the different types of listening in the next couple of videos. Okay, guys? All right, so I'll see you there.